Yes, Nuzat, please.
Hello, sir. I'm Nuzhat Tariq, the editor of Politico Vista Magazine. Firstly, allow me to introduce you to the Politico Vista, our magazine. It is the first ever quarterly bilingual students e-magazine. We have published 3 issues of our magazine since last December. We have conducted different interviews over different international, national, and societal affairs. And now our editorial team is extremely grateful and ecstatic for conducting your interview, which is on Khushpur, where humanity won, which is a journey of your philanthropy and humanitarianism. So, sir, shall we begin this interview?
Of course, let's do it.
Okay.
Nuzat, before this one, actually, Mr. Bono wants to introduce yourself, your his humanitarian work in Pakistan. He wants to discuss about something. After that, you can start your questions.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
So, please go ahead.
No, sir. First, we know about you, like we have read your profile, but we want you to please share about yourself.
Okay, first of all, let me thank you for your nice, kind introduction and for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here with you and to talk about my 4.5 years in Pakistan. Like you said, I was working at the Italian embassy, and I'm mainly dealing with the cultural and social aspect of Pakistani society. I landed in Pakistan on July 30th, 2006, and I left on November 10, 2010. Overall, I would say that the period I spent in Pakistan has been one of the most important and enriching experiences of my life, both from a professional and a human point of view. Right from the moment I landed in Pakistan, like you said, I embarked on a beautiful journey which will lead me to discover the best and the worst sides of Pakistan and its people, especially those less fortunate within the Pakistani society, regardless of their gender, race, and faith. Actually, I went to Pakistan to learn as much as possible about the country, its culture, its tradition, its history, and from day one, from the first day I landed in Pakistan, I never felt as a stranger in Pakistan. Wherever I went, not just in Islamabad, that was the city where I spent most of my time, but wherever I went, I felt always at home and never in danger. And so that's why Pakistan is, I still consider Pakistan as my second home, and it's very close to my heart, and its people are always in my thoughts and prayers. And let's say that I returned to Pakistan on holidays in the years following my departure. But unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic and my professional commitments, I've never, was, and not been able to come to Pakistan in the last 4 years. So this has also impacted on my capacity and my to supervise and control my humanitarian project in Pakistan. Right now I'm based in Rome. I am married. I just married after leaving to Pakistan to a German woman, and we are blessed with one daughter, one 11-year-old daughter, whose name is Viviana. So once again, thank you for your introduction, and your invitation. It's a really privilege and honor for me to be here.
It's really good to know your attachment to Pakistani people, sir. So, shall we begin this interview? So, we will move
Yes,
towards our
let's.
first question. Our first question is from Shazia Batul. Please, Shazia, ask your question.
Thanks a lot, Nuzhan. And thank you so much, Mr. Agostino Bono, for your precious time. Firstly, we want to express our huge respect for your humanitarian and philanthropic role in Khushpur, Faisalabad, for its betterment. Myself, Shazia Batul, de facto member of Team Politico Vista. So my question is, what did you feel for the first time after witnessing the worst situation in Khushpur? Could you please demonstrate your attachment to Khushpur in words?
First of all, nice to meet you, Shazia. And
Thank you so much.
like I said, I spent 4.5 years in Pakistan, and it has been one of the most enriching and experiences of my life. And Khushpur showed me both the worst and the best kind, the best aspect of Pakistan. And the best, by the best, I mean the kindness and the warmth of the people in Khushpur and the people of neighboring villages. The thing that struck me first when I first arrived in Khushpur was the miserable living conditions, the high rate of mortality among the younger generation, especially among women and children, and the high rate of paralyzed people, the wheelchair-bound people. That encouraged me to do something for them, because I couldn't remain indifferent towards such suffering and miserable living conditions. So I started my humanitarian work by donating food, staple food such as rice, meat, milk, flour, and sugar, of course, and buying wheelchairs for those in need. I did this for 8 months before, let's say, raising the bar and doing something bigger, namely building a clinic in Khushpur. Building the clinic was the dream of an elderly man who I had met in December 2008. He thanked me for visiting his house on my visit to Khushpur, and before I left for Islamabad, he wanted to shake hands with me, and then he gave me a handwritten letter in Urdu. And I said, sir, I will definitely read this letter on my way back to Islamabad. You know, I was in a hurry because the journey by car from Khushpur to Islamabad was quite long, because, you know, it's more or less 450 kilometers. So it translated into 5-6 hours by car. So, and with the help and the support of my Pakistani friends, who always accompanied me on my visit to Khushpur, I read the handwritten letter in Urdu that I must confess the handwritten Urdu was quite difficult for me to make out. But the content of that letter struck me, shocked me, and really encouraged me to do something for the people of Khushpur. If you want, I can. I have a copy of the letter that I translated into Italian and English. I can read just the last 2 paragraphs to because I would like to share this with all the people who will listen to this program on the YouTube channel. So we do not have good schools and hospitals. Our women and children are dying because of poor sanitation. We don't have even a doctor in our village, just few nurses who do their best to treat the sick. Some time ago, I dreamt of a man who came to Khushpur from a foreign land. He was smiling and looked rather encouraging. He stopped to meet with people on the streets and visited some houses to give a word of sympathy to everyone he met. He was encouraging everyone and saying that the situation in Khushpur will improve soon with his arrival. He was saying that the clinic will soon be built in the village where everyone will be treated. People ran into the streets to meet him, and everyone was smiling and looked happy. I've never seen such a scene in Khushpur in my life. Then I suddenly woke up and I realized that it was just a dream. Life will be as sad as always tomorrow in Khushpur. I have told my dream only to my wife, and she said, "I wish your dream came true." When I met you today, a shiver ran down my spine. I felt I had already met you somewhere. You know what, Mr. Bono? That man was you. I am sure of it. Please do something for us. I've been hoping and waiting for 70 years for something like this. Sincerely yours, Dawood. So that was the content of such a moving letter that was the decisive factor in my decision to build a clinic. And just 3 weeks later, I laid the foundation stone of my clinic, my hospital in Khushpur, with the help of the local community.
Wonderful demonstration of your attachment with Khushbur people. Sir, and could you please share that letter, as you mentioned about that letter? We would love to publish that letter in the interview section of our magazine.
Of course, I will. I will send you by mail, by whatever means you will indicate me.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving towards our next question. Our next question is from our sub-editor of our magazine, Abdul Samad Salim.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Hello, sir. Very much pleased to have you, our editorial team. And this is Abdul Samad, the sub-editor of Politico Vista, the first students ever e-magazine by our university, Federal University. And my question is that, sir, for the establishment of a hospital in Khushpur, what difficulties you have to face and how did you counter those hardships? Because in doing a good thing, you have to face some kind of hardships in your journey. So how had you tackled about these hardships? Thank you, sir.
So first of all, Abdul, congratulations on this great initiative of the magazine. And it is really a remarkable achievement. The first issue to overcome was to to finance the building of the clinic. Unfortunately, I didn't find many volunteers, so that remained my responsibility for quite some time. And later on, lack of qualified medical staff, bureaucracy, and unfortunately, corruption were always hampering the implementation of my project. And my dream of donating those people an efficient and health facility. It was very difficult to find good doctors who were willing to work on a permanent basis in Khushpur. Usually to do so, they asked for extra money as well as accommodation and transportation. So this would translate into an heavy financial burden for me. So overall, my humanitarian work confirmed my belief that helping people, doing charity work is one of the most difficult jobs in the world, because sometimes it is not enough to win the hearts and minds of people. Additionally, you have to raise people who are not directly affected by the suffering, by the crisis, from their indifference and apathy. So do your best to convince them to share the burden, to take part in this endeavor, and in doing so, bring relief to the population. Sometimes I would say, unfortunately, you also have to win the ingratitude of the very people you are trying to help. You know, there is a very popular, famous poetry of Mother Teresa that I would like to recite you, just to give you a rough idea of my daily struggle in Khushpur. To convince people to help me. So Mother Teresa used to say, people are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish motives. Be kind anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have. It may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you, see, in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. So it's this poetry summarizes, exemplifies the problems I had to face, the challenges I had to face every day in Khushpur. Of course, there were other problems, but the most important thing, I think, that the challenges ahead, the indifference of people who didn't want to help me, never make me lost motivation. So I went on and eventually I achieved maybe partially my goals. My initial goals were mainly to give those people an efficient health facility and to promote harmony, peace between people belonging to different faith, gender, and race. Because, you know, Khushpur's population is mainly Christian, but there was, let's say, 10% of the population was Muslim, and there were a few Hindu people as well. So the my main message, the message I also wanted always to convey was that the clinic was for all, for everyone, regardless of their religion, gender, and race. So this was, I made it clear on my first day to Khushpur. We will build a clinic, a small clinic, to give a basic medical treatment and medicine for free, but our clinic must be open to everyone, not just the people of Khushpur, but people belonging to different villages, different religions, and different faith, and if we don't do this, we will fail. the main purpose I set myself when I decided to build such a clinic.
So moving towards our next question. Our next question is from Ifra Iqbal. Ifra Iqbal, please ask your question.
Thank you, Nuzhat. Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, again, nice to meet you, Ifra.
Okay, thank you, sir. Nice to meet you to you too. Okay, sir. This is Ifra Khan, final year student of International Relations and assistant editor of Politico Vista. So first of all, I am highly obliged to you for giving your time. So, sir, my question is about why did you choose the region of South Asia for charity work? Could it be because of your diplomatic work in Pakistan or something else? Please, sir, elaborate.
Yes, so the main reason why I chose Pakistan was simple, because I was working in Pakistan and because I was having daily interaction, daily meetings with the Pakistani people, the ordinary people, and despite the actually started my humanitarian commitment in my own country as a child, I mainly chose South Asia, and in particular with a particular focus on Pakistan, because I had been deployed to Pakistan in Islamabad. But what let's say one of my defining features as a diplomat was the fact that I traveled a lot. I never confined myself to Islamabad. Like my friends in Pakistan used to say, Islamabad is not the true Pakistan, is not real Pakistan. If you want to see Pakistan, you should go elsewhere. You should visit the rural areas, far-flung areas. You should visit NWFP, today Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. You should visit Balochistan. And so they were right. By visiting those places, those provinces, I learned a lot. I earned a lot, especially interacting with the so-called lower classes. People, I never consider myself as lower classes, because I earn a lot. A vast amount of information I learned in Pakistan came from my conversation with ordinary people, poor people in the remote areas, the forgotten areas, I would say, unfortunately, of Pakistan.
So the next question is from Mariam Anwar. Mariam Anwar, please ask your question.
Hello, sir. My name is Mariam Anwar, and I want to ask that, sir, you are working on humanitarian crisis in the South Asian region. So could you tell us about the main factors causing the humanitarian crisis in the South Asia region? We are aware of several factors, but would love to hear your experience and analysis of humanitarian crisis in South Asia.
Okay, good question. Thank you. So, as you know, the South Asia is a very complex region. I've been in India and Afghanistan as well, but I will focus my my comment on Pakistan. You know, Pakistan has, I think, it is to answer your question. It is necessary to analyze the history of the country since its creation in 1947. Soon after, I remember reading an article, reading somewhere in a book while I was in Pakistan, that soon after the partition, so we are in 1947 and 1948, 1947, 48, Qaid-e-Azam, the father of the nation, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, said, in one of his seminal speech, said that the population of then West Pakistan was already too high. And in his opinion, West Pakistan didn't have the financial means and enough resources to feed its own population, its own people, and went as far as to say that it was vital to implement measures in the social sphere to reduce the number of people in the medium to long term. The population of West Pakistan back in 1947 was about 70 million people. Today, the population of Pakistan is 210 million, most likely more than that. It goes without saying that the growing population is one of the main reasons of Pakistan's humanitarian crisis. Of course, the ineffective policies of both the civilian and military governments have also contributed to the humanitarian crisis. The fact that Pakistan has sometimes been isolated at the international level have also contributed to the humanitarian crisis. But I would say that reducing the population and won't be an all-encompassing solution, but it would help to alleviate the humanitarian crisis.
So, sir, our next question is from Mr. Anis Kamrani. Anis Kamrani, please ask your question.
He is not in the meeting due to internet connection, so I am asking the question on his behalf. Can I ask?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Sir, have you ever experienced in South Asia influencing your understanding about humanitarianism, and what have you learned about the importance of cross-cultural communication and understandings?
Thank you for this question. So, like I said in the beginning, right from the start, I set myself an ambitious target. I want to learn Urdu and become fluent in the language. I want to achieve that because I'm fond of languages. I was and I'm still fond of languages. However, the main reason was and still is that my firm belief that you cannot fully understand the country, its population, its culture, its tradition, if you don't speak the local languages. Language could become a barrier, an insurmountable barrier, and prevent you from reaching out to people. And as such, you will never be able to fill the gaps that separate you from them. You know, I was among the few foreigners in Pakistan that was able to talk with the local population, and that allowed me to be treated as a member of their community, their families sometimes. So communication is important, you know, because in my own opinion, most of the problems that affect the world today, and that sometimes causes huge catastrophic events such as wars and etc., the protracted conflicts, are due to the fact that we don't understand each other, because we talk different languages and we don't do anything to understand what the counterpart is going to tell us, and so that is a really big problem, communication, and that's why I wanted to learn Urdu and talk with the local population, because otherwise I would be confined. My life will be limited to the green Islamabad, the Greenish Islamabad, where I could talk only with the Pakistani aristocracy and the international community. But that would have never allowed me to get in contact and with the local population and get to know more about this beautiful country.
So our next question is from Hamza Bhutto. Hamza Bhutto, please ask your question.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can. Hello, Hamza.
Hello, sir. As we are, sir, on the topic of communication and language, you have written a book on Urdu, Italian proverbs and idioms that is a fascinating contribution to both languages. My question to
Thank
you
you.
is that how has your experience in Pakistan influenced your understanding of linguistics? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that question. By the way, I would like to show you my book. This is the cover of my book that I wrote published in 2010 in Pakistan. And as writing the book, as I was writing the book, I would discover that Italian and Urdu shared similar proverbs and idiomatic expression. I found it striking because it clearly showed that there must have been an interaction, a cultural exchange in the past between Italian people and people belonging to the Indian subcontinent. The first person that spring to mind was Marco Polo, the Venetian explorer, who passed through what today is Pakistan in his journey from Venice to China from 1271 to 1295. Even the title of my book show that Akalmand ke liye ishara kafi hai is a proverb that has a correspondent, a similar proverb in the Italian language. So that clearly exemplifies that cultural exchanges must have occurred at some time, at some point in the past. But something that would prove to be very useful, very beneficial for me was the fact that studying Urdu would later help me to accelerate the learning process, the learning path of Farsi and Pashto, who share similarities with Urdu. Having studied French, Spanish, and Portuguese in the past, it was, in a way, it was like passing from Italian to Spanish, French, and or Portuguese, because those languages are Latin languages, and so they share a lot. They share a lot of similarities. So overall, studying Urdu was also beneficial because opened me new avenues, and I gave me the possibility to start from a position of strength, let's say, the learning process of Pashto and Farsi languages.
So our next question is from Iram Nas. Iram Nas, please ask your question. Iramnaz, please ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So my name is Iram. Firstly, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to you for honoring us with your valuable time. So my question is regarding the titles that you have been given in Pakistan by the people, such as Bono Saint, Bono the Scholar, and Bono the Thessalian. How do you feel about these titles? We really want to know, what do they mean to you personally?
First of all, I would say start by saying that I owe these titles to my friend, the Pakistani journalist Amir Mateen, who first used them in his article, Bono Bat, Sicilian Saint or Scholars, published an article published in the News International November 6, 2010. I feel grateful and proud, but more than anything else, I was happy to see that Italy, my own country, had made the headlines in a positive way. I was and I still am very proud of that article, not least because it was a unique article in its kind, since few foreigners had been rewarded with such a beautiful article before. It was the crowning achievement of a wonderful period that had started 4.5 years before. However, on a personal note, I must say that that day, November 6, 2010, my father was the proudest and the happiest person on earth. He read the article on his hospital bed where he had been admitted due to a very aggressive form of cancer that would kill him some weeks later. He was so proud that of reading that article on the net, and that he showed the article to all the patients in his ward and the medical and the doctors and nurses who were assisting him. So this is something that will be always I will always remember with deep affection. And thank you for this question.
So, sir, our next question is from again Ifra Iqbal. Ifra Iqbal, please ask your question.
Sure, Nuzat. Actually, Alian is not here due to internet connection, so I would like to ask his suggested question. So, sir, my question is: your work in establishing a charity hospital in Khushpur has had a significant impact on the local community. How can others replicate this success, and what steps can be taken to ensure the sustainability of such initiatives?
I think that first of all, feeling close, feeling love and empathy for those people who are suffering is a precondition for success. To the people who want to embark on such a difficult journey, I would suggest to build a strong team of like-minded and kind-hearted people. I would suggest to allocate time and devote themselves to the cause. What really hampered my effort in the end was the fact that I didn't have enough time to promote my work, and once in Italy, I was never able to attract Pakistani donors and philanthropists. If I had remained more, if I had had the possibility of staying on, continue to live in Pakistan, my project would definitely have been more successful. But because I realized that running a project of such magnitude, of such relevance from Rome, was quite a daunting task. So I would suggest to people, please do it, because people in need really are waiting for your help, but build a strong team, be committed to the cause, and do your best to promote your cause through fundraising events. And today the web has a great potential, so arrange crowdfundings and spread the news about your project, because running a project almost on my own, like I did, it makes the job even more difficult. So I would suggest build a strong team and found as many supporters as possible, and be always honest and sincere to the people you are helping.
Okay, sir. Our next question is from Sayyida Bushra. Sayyida Bushra, please ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Can you hear me?
Walaikum assalam, I can hear you.
I am Sayyida Bushra. First of all, thank you for your precious time that you give us, sir. My question is, human
My
rights
pleasure.
issues often intersect with gender equality concern. How does the trust address gender-based disparities and empower women and girls?
I'm really glad that you have asked this question, because I'm a firm believer of women emancipation in Pakistan. I think that they should play a bigger role, a bigger social role, especially at the village level. I talked with many women in Pakistani villages, in Pakistani towns during my stay. They expressed their concern because they were not allowed to talk about their health problems. They were not about to talk about family planning, for example. Even when continuing to get pregnant and delivering babies, that would endanger their lives. So, in my own opinion, it's high time the women played a more important, a major role in Pakistani society. I think that the Pakistan as a country, as a nation, will greatly benefit from an increased role, relevance of the women in society. Like I said, especially at the village and town level, at the rural areas level, where women are more often than not badly treated, and they are not entitled to their own opinions.
Okay, sir. Our next question is from Anis Kamrani. Anis Kamrani, please ask your question.
Yes, thank you, Nazat, for giving me a second chance because I couldn't answer a previous question due to internet connection. But I think this question is more important than previous. And hello, Mr. Agostino, sir.
Hello,
Good
nice to
evening.
meet you, Anis. Good evening.
Thank you. Sir, my question is that in your opinion, how Pakistan can create a robust welfare system like European countries? Because European countries have a highest human development index.
Okay, this is a very good but
Hear me, sir?
and complex question. So, you know, if you were asking me about a European country, I would say that the easiest way would be to force all the people to contribute by paying their taxes. It goes without saying that this is not a viable option in Pakistan. Therefore, I would say that two necessary steps would be easy to implement, and by that I mean political stability, political stability implemented through strong governments, and as a second step, crack down on corruption. In doing so, the state will have more resources at its disposal to implement a good welfare system. I think that the central role is played by a strong central government to tackle the challenges that have prevented Pakistan from becoming a developed country, such as energy shortages, climate change, law and order, the precarious law and order situation. All these factors have negatively impacted the lives of private citizens as well as the national and local economy. So I would say that a consensus-based national strategy and a common vision is necessary. And by that, I mean the integration of ethnic and religious minorities into the social fabric of Pakistan. Each and every Pakistan must contribute to the effort of building a modern state. But they will only do so if they feel respected and an integral part of society, and not considered as outcast, second-class citizen or suspect communities. You know, once those reforms, those changes, radical changes are implemented into the Pakistani societies, it will be easier. It will be much easier and quicker to implement a more efficient welfare system. And so I think this is the way ahead, but unfortunately, I must say that, for example, the current political situation in Pakistan is not the ideal for implementing such reforms. I really hope and pray that in the coming months, with the holding of new election, Pakistani people can elect a strong Pakistani government, regardless of the political affiliation. The most important thing is that they start to implement serious and radical reforms in the social sector, and of course, implementing an efficient welfare system is one of them, probably one of the most important.
Okay, so our next and last question is from Iram Nas. Iram Nas, please ask your question.
Sir, the question is from Munazza Khan, the final year student. Due to the internet connection, she's not here. So her question is, based on your success in healthcare initiatives in Pakistan, how do you plan to leverage your experience and resources to support education initiatives in Pakistan or South Asia? And what are your future plans for your mission of creating more Khushpurs, and how can people join hands with you?
Actually, creating more Khushpurs was one of my initial objectives. So, but to do that, to implement such an ambitious plan, I need more support. I will from donors and philanthropists inside Pakistan, and so whoever is interested in getting involved or contributing to my effort can direct message me on my social channels in networks, on LinkedIn, Twitter, email me, or even contact my own foundation in Islamabad, St. Agostino Trust that I established back in 2009 in Pakistan. So it depends. My future involvement, commitment to the Pakistani population, especially those in need, is depending on the amount of support I will be able to get in the months and years ahead. You know, I will never give up, and the people of Pakistan are always in my heart and prayers, in my heart and thoughts, even especially those in Khushpur and neighboring villages. But I recently expanded into the education sector by financing the studies of boys and girls whose families cannot afford to pay the fees, schools fees or university fees. But to do more than that, to help as many people as possible, I need support from the Pakistani people, and so that's the how I would conclude my interview with you. And whoever is willing to join hands, please go ahead and contact me.
So the questions are over, sir. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for giving us your precious time for this interview. It was incredibly wonderful, it was insightful, thought provoking, and it has truly inspired us genuinely that how ambitions, persistent determination, and generosity can transform not only the person life but an entire community. Now, I would
Thank you
like to
very
ask,
much.
it's an honor, sir, it's an honor. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Faisal Javed, our magazine advisor, for concluding remarks.
Thank you, Nuzat and your team, and you asked very well questions and conducted very well interview. Thank you, Mr. Agostino Bono. You gave it time for us, for our magazine, and in future, I hope we will collaborate for this purpose. Thank you so much.
It will be my pleasure, sir. And once again, congratulations on your project, on this great initiative of creating a journal for university students in Pakistan.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.